So here's a short story that's definitely going to give you guys a laugh. In particular, you guys who ever at some point in your life had a girl that you liked, that you were into, who certainly knew that you were into her and had no problem wasting your time, taking advantage of your kindness and interest in her, wasting your money and all that. Or maybe you had a girlfriend like this and dumped you, even though you were great to her and you were the model boyfriend on all levels, for some guy that was a loser, the bad boy, the Chad Tyrone type. You'll appreciate this. This is all about a gal who's 33, and she's gone to Reddit to whine and complain, woe is me, because her life is not what she thought it would be at 33 years old. She basically has no family, no husband, no boyfriend, nothing, and just is a big giant mess. And whines and complains about how years ago she had this guy that was a great guy on all fronts, totally into her, and she treated him like what I described in the beginning. And now eventually he's moved on. They stayed friends, but from a distance. They talk to each other on occasion. He's moved on and found himself a great girl. He's all set to get married, and she's losing it because her so-called safety net has moved on. Woe is her. And I thought I'd be going to go over here, guys, again, for those of you who've been in this situation, that eventually this is what's going to happen to a lot of gals. This story is not anything new to this time period. This does happen, but I'm telling you now, it's going to be happening more and more. You're going to see more of these all the time, because ever since probably social media and dating apps really became the thing, combined with the feminist movement, convincing women that they deserve the top 1% of guys, and they're so amazing and so empowered, and you're not empowered unless you sleep with every guy in college, and jerked around good guys. You're going to see this all the time now, because they get to their 30s and definitely their 40s. No family, no husband, no prospects, nothing, because they always thought they deserved better. And good guys were just cast aside like they're nothing. You're going to hear more of this. Titled, I'm 33 years old and I've ruined my life over a decision I made 7 years ago with a 32-year-old male. And a shout out to Jeff for sending this in. She says, hi. So when I was 22 years old, I was seeing this guy, a 21-year-old male that I will call L. I got to call him L. We'll call him Larry. I had only had a few partners up until then, mostly consisting of long-term relationships ranging from 1 to 2 years. Okay, so she's saying she had only a few partners then. Let's multiply whatever that number is by 3, guaranteed. Probably more like 4. When I met Larry, we connected deeply, emotionally, and intellectually. I visited him numerous times, and we had a bunch of fun when we were together. We also did some stuff, but never fully did the deed. Well, if they never fully did the deed, then guarantee she was not that into him. He wanted to, but I did not, and I did at the same time. I was unsure of my attraction to him, but I felt extremely loved and comfortable, more than anything I ever experienced before. Well, she probably did feel comfortable and loved, but too comfortable. Larry didn't give her the butterflies. Larry was a nice guy. And the reason she just was unsure is because when women are unsure is that because typically they just aren't into the guy. He may have some qualities they like, but doesn't quite do it, give the excitement and the butterflies like the bad boys. And hence, Larry gets jerked around. We met a few times over a couple years. I broke it off, but we kept texting and I kept visiting him. He never stopped being kind to me. He was also so respectful. I feel a bit bad because I was a mess and I dragged him into it. She doesn't feel bad. But Larry, smack, you can tell, classic nice guy, That's what a lot of these nice guys do. They'll keep letting themselves be jerked around by girls like this. She could have had him like that. At one point, he asked for a commitment. But I was seeing somebody at the time. He didn't know about that. It was an exclusive thing. So I declined. He was unhappy about that, and we stopped talking again romantically. He did ask me if I had been with other people around that time that I came to visit him, but I just said no, since I knew he would not like the answer. So she has no problem lying to him to his face. She has no problem going to see him to get the attention and validation that she likes, probably to talk about other guys. Meanwhile, she's obviously hooking up with other dudes. The guys that will give her the butterflies, the guys that are attractive, exciting, unpredictable, all that. But Larry's obviously the type of guy that will listen to her problems, make her feel comfortable, and pretty much wrapped around her finger. We did almost hook up when I visited him, But I felt weird since I had just been about a week ago hooked up with another guy. So we did other stuff, but I didn't let it go that far. Again, because she's not into him. I guarantee it probably there was a part of it wanted to be into him, but just couldn't do it. And I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just saying that's just how the female mind and emotions operate. A big problem about him, too, was that he wanted to be a father in the future, whereas I was unsure if I wanted to be a mom. There we go. Reflection of the times. Women don't need to get married. Women don't need to have kids. Be an empowered single woman. Being free to do whatever you want. Well, let's see how that works out. I did fantasize a bit and play with the idea of having him be a father of our child, and I don't think any other candidate has ever come close to granting me that level of emotion as those thoughts did. But then it also convinced me that I wanted to be a mom. I was certain he'd be a great dad and partner, and I, as I said, felt deeply comfortable with him. I was a mess at the time, so it wasn't my entire fault that I couldn't commit. Women and accountability. It was your fault that you kept giving him false hope. You should have told him that wasn't going to happen and moved on, but she was selfish, and she knew this guy was into her and kept coming back and stringing him along. He was her safety net, and women have no problem, many women have no problem keeping guys as a safety net on layaway, giving just enough breadcrumbs to keep them a little interested, a little hope. Here's the twist. We kept in contact over the years. Smack to Larry. He shouldn't have done that. Come on, Larry. He never stopped caring, though stopped entertaining my visits. Well, good for him. Good. Didn't help that COVID also happened. Eventually, he found a woman we'll call A. I'm not going to call her A. Well, what's a good A name? We'll call her Amy. I haven't heard Amy in a while. I think she's 30. I hadn't been able to visit him for a year due to COVID. I remember how he spoke about her all the way back then. I don't get jealous usually, but I did there. Oh, now she's jealous. It's not because of him. It's because Amy's taken away her safety net. My life has been a mess. I go in and out of relationships, can't hold a stable job, and never really feel secure in my life. Everybody either lies or doesn't stick to you. Translation, you heard what you just said there about everybody lies or doesn't stick to her, even though they're sticking it in her? Because the guys she goes for, the ones that, never mind all the positive things that what Larry was doing, if they gave her excitement and butterflies and rode a motorcycle, boom. But they ain't going to be like Larry. Here's he is the most consistent thing I have. In 2023, they had a child. I see pictures of them, and they are so happy. I was once in the area, and he invited me to come by and stay for a bit, and it was like walking into this dream family. He's such a good dad, and the child is so cute. Of course Larry's a good dad. Of course he's a good husband, because that's the kind of man he is. And, you know, Larry was a classic. You can tell by her description of the nice guy here, but he was a good guy, you know. Obviously has his shit together. And hey, you know, I hope his now soon-to-be wife, his girlfriend, mother of his child, appreciates that. Sounds like she does. His now fiance was so kind to me, and she seemed so happy herself. She knew about her history and didn't care. I could think of nothing but how I could have been in that situation, how I so longed for it. Since then, I've been unable to get out of my head. He wanted me to be there, but I said no. I've contemplated saying to him this multiple times, maybe with some idea that he'd give it a try. But I know it's fruitless because he loves her deeply. You hear that? In other words, she's considering the back of her mind of being a homewrecker. Now, all of a sudden, all these years later in her 30s, when she doesn't have this in her life, now she's longing for what Larry could have given her. Nope, doesn't work that way. Too bad. And whose fault is it? Hers. Just like the countless other gals out there that behaved in the same way, had plenty of Larrys that they could have had a great husband with, great family, great life. Nope. They had to chase the excitement, the bad boys, the butterflies, and this is what you got. Or, not even bad boys, just always chasing a better thing, trying to monkey branch to get the best thing because they themselves have been convinced that they are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, 4 months ago, I was invited to their wedding. It's happening next month, and I feel so depressed. I stopped going out. I don't talk to people. My life is a joke. Everything I wanted was in my hands, and I threw it away. I can't get him out of my head and haven't ever been able to. Not once throughout all the years. I've also truly wanted to be a mother, but I was afraid I would be bad. He always encouraged me that I wouldn't. See? Here's the reality. She doesn't want Larry. She never doesn't want Larry. She never wanted Larry. She'll never want Larry. She just wants what he represents. And he was her safety net that is no longer there. Another thing that is hard to admit is that I feel like I missed out on not sleeping with him. She seems so comfortable around him, and they openly hint at sexual things together. I can't tell why, but I know they've got something great going on, and I'm just damn jealous. I don't know what to do. All the guys I meet are weird, or they don't come near any connection he and I ever had. I'll grow alone in my own misery, and I made this bet entirely on my own. Well, at least she's admitting that. I'll give her that. For long, I blamed everything but myself, but this truly was me. I don't know what to do. And there you go. Guys, again, if presently you're in a situation like you're kind of like a Larry, if you're honest with yourself, and you've had girls that taken advantage of your kindness and your money and your time and all that, and certainly would come to you, talk about other guys, or dumped you for guys that gave them excitement, know this is likely going to be her one day. And a lot are going to be more like this. You know, I was like a Larry in high school and college in some degree, and I didn't get those type of girls I was into. It was only when I would flip the script and turn into an asshole, then I got girls. It was great. But I wasn't an asshole. I learned to find the happy medium, as all guys should, the balance between the nice guy, good guy, and the asshole, bad boy type. You find the medium, and there you go. But anyhow, too bad for her. But at the end of the day, she could profess her feelings to Larry, which I wouldn't put it past her. And if he got together with her, she'd be bored with him after a week. And you know it. You know what this chick needs to do is really have somebody really freaking give her a freaking speech, and pull her head out of her ass. If she's remotely attractive, she's 33, she can get a guy. What she has to understand is that her problem, guarantee is that the type of guy that Larry was, that gave her comfort, that she felt comfortable with in a way that she wanted, that would give her financial stability, commitment, the stable things she wants in her life. That type of guy is never going to be unpredictable. He's never going to behave like the bad boys and give her, the butterflies and spontaneity and all that crap. It doesn't work that way. The same way as the guy that can give her the butterflies and be unpredictable and make her obsess over him is never going to be the guy who's going to give her the commitment she needs, the financial security. It doesn't work that way. So you can find some guys that can maybe be in the middle, but to find one that has the full on this and the full on that, no freaking way. It doesn't work that way. But a lot are convinced themselves and convinced each other that they can. But anyhow, there you go. And I could have read a lot of comments here, but this video is getting pretty long here. So Larry, good for him. He's having the last laugh. As a lot of you guys will have the last laugh in situations like that. And I guarantee you're going to see more and more posts like this in the coming years. Guarantee it, because it goes to a whole new level nowadays in terms of how psychotically deluded so many are nowadays in terms of what they offer and what they feel entitled to.